Do your blending brushes, ink blending brushes, particularly your Distress Oxide ink blending brushes, look like this? The bristles separated, full of pigment from your inks. So this is how my blending brushes, when they're like this, blend. They just don't. They just move ink around a little bit on the paper. I get smudges and smear lines. There's not a smooth bit of blending to see at all. It doesn't even hold the ink properly in the bristles either. And if we take a close look at these, it really is a horrible, horrible result. There's no way I'm going to blend that very easily. Now I've chosen my 3 worst brushes here to clean with you and show you how I clean them up. So if you'd like to clean your brushes with me, you're going to need 2 plastic food bags. I use 2 just to make sure the liquid doesn't go through. A glass or a cup that's an old one, and some rubbing alcohol. This is it. Oh, and some kitchen towel as well. So I put the food bags inside the cup and fold the edges over the lip there. Like I say, I do use 2 of these. This is just in case one splits or breaks at all, because I am going to be rubbing against it. Then I've got the security of the second one. You can do 3, 4 layers of this, whatever you wish. Or if you're using a really old cup, then you don't need to use the bags at all. Then I'm going to pour some of the rubbing alcohol into the bags here. So you only need a small amount, and please, please, please make sure you've got an open window. This is really strong smelling stuff. You don't want to be using it in an area that's not ventilated. Now I've got probably around an inch, maybe even less than an inch in there. I'm going to do my 3 brushes with, but this would do a few more before I need to replace it anyway. But it will evaporate, so there's no point putting loads in there. So then I just dip my brush in and I start rubbing it against the side. Now the bag, where it's crinkled up, that just helps with a bit of texture to rub the bristles against and get the liquid all the way in there, pushing the green ink out. Now I find this works so much better than water. So I take the excess off onto a piece of kitchen towel there. You are still going to have some residue. Now, you know, you can do this 10 times. You'll probably still have a little bit of residue if, like me, you've been using your brushes for weeks or months without properly cleaning them. So I take as much of the excess off, and already I can see that is so much fluffier. There's a lot less colour in there. Now you're going to have some staining on the bristles. You can't get away with that. That is always going to be there. That's the dye from the Distress Oxides that are soaked into your bristles. So you're not going to get the perfect white bristles anymore, but you are going to get all that excess pigment out of the bristles that have been clogging them up for so long. So I use the same liquid and I repeat with my other brushes. So the purple was really, really bad. When I came to clean it, you can see how much was coming off. What I do is I do it on an old piece of kitchen towel. I take the excess off. Sometimes, as I did with this one, I actually go back in again and remove some more. So put some more of the rubbing alcohol in there, soak it through, make sure it's worked really well into the bristles, and then I remove the excess again. And then once I've done that and I've got as much out as possible, I take a clean piece of kitchen towel. And on the clean piece of kitchen towel, I can see how much is really left. So getting the excess onto this dirty piece first. This is mostly the alcohol coming out. You can see there's less and less colour coming out with it. As I say, there's always going to be a tinge of purple there anyway. This was probably my worst brush of all. Make sure you clean the back of the head too, because that does fill up with ink from the liquid. And then on this clean piece, I'm just going to rub off and see how much it is. And I had to press really, really hard to get even that faintest amount out. So if nothing else, this is pulling the last of the rubbing alcohol out. And then I repeated it for my 3rd brush as well, but you can see how fluffy that is now. So with this, these are going to dry so much quicker than if you use soapy water. Soapy water does work to an extent, but I still find I need to do it 2, 3, 4 times, and I need to leave them 24 hours to dry thoroughly. Whereas rubbing alcohol actually evaporates. It's what it's well known for. So within minutes, your brushes are going to be ready to use again. As you can see, there's virtually nothing coming out of this one now. It is a much paler colour, and to be honest, I wish I'd been able to give the examples for you with darker colours, but I just had to do my worst brushes. To clean this up, I pop all the tissues into the bag with the liquid, let them soak that up, and then I tie my bag off at the top and pop it in the bin. Do not put this down your drain or down your sink. So here's where I test out the clean brushes. Now I have to admit, I've realised that my cracked pistachio really needs to be re-inked. I need to either buy a new one or re-ink this because the ink is getting very low. So it was hard to still get the ink out, but the blend that I got was so much smoother. You can see me trying to squeeze as much ink out of it. But when I hold it up closely for you in a little while, when we've done all 3 swatches, you'll see, I mean, you can see there's more ink coming onto the page and it's much smoother. The same with the tattered lace. It is a very pale colour. So that is just a little bit harder for you to see where the ink's going. But when you look at the two, the top one is the one we did at the beginning, the bottom one is so much smoother, and creating blends with these is going to be nicer. Now this one is going to be easier for you because this is the darker colour. So now when you first use your brushes after cleaning them, you will find that you'll need to almost load them up with ink again. So it will take a little while to get the ink deep into the bristles again, and for them to apply it, over a long period of time while you are blending. So you'll need to keep applying ink until they're kind of full up again. But if you take that excess off, particularly of the surface, after each time you've used them, you won't be back in the same situation quite so soon. And if you'd make a note or a point to clean your brushes every couple of weeks, then you won't be left with the same situation. But you can really see the difference there just from giving them a 2-minute clean with rubbing alcohol. I hope you found this useful. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and take a look at this playlist if you love your Distress Oxides too. Thanks everybody, take care.